And we are back, color glazing part 2 with gloss glazing liquid, and I am starting off by mixing in some violets, it appears, and a little bit of white. This is a great color for the whites of the eyes, and I'm having a little bit more orange for the inside of the eyes. I think that's really good too. And even again with the push and pull of warmer and cooler colors is going to really make things push and pull. So again, now we're going in with the Quinacridone Crimson, which is a cooler red. Oh, I see here. So I'm actually using the Quinacridone on the shadow side. So I guess we'll see what we do on the other side of the painting, because that one is not in shadow as much. Okay, so as the eye is curving into the light, I am adding more of the CAD red light, which is a warmer red. Because remember, even though we're seeing the eye is kind of flat, but it's rounded. So the shadow side I was using the Quinacridone red, and on the other side I was using the CAD red light. And now what I'm doing is just adding in very thin highlight glazes for the highlight part where the shadows are not. It'll just make those shadows pop a little bit more. If I went back in time to do this, I would definitely not be working on this part yet. I still have the right eye to work on before adding these details. They're just kind of fun to do. Sometimes I'll work on like the final details, highlights before I should, although it is kind of fun to see them pop. It kind of makes everything pull together. So when you're at this point in the painting, I guess you could do it, but I'd probably focus on keeping the eyes as even as possible, so I don't forget like what kind of paints I was using, or technique I was using, or even paintbrush. Here we go. I mean, even though I don't necessarily need to do the same technique or use the same colors as the other eye, because this one is more on the highlight side, it is actually just really good to kind of do them at the same time. Well, not, like one after the other. Oh, actually, let me stop real quickly. What I'm doing at the moment is adding in the shadows of the eyelashes that are coming on top of the eye. So I used a glaze of brown or something. It looked like a brown. And the eyelash shadow going through the eye is going the opposite direction of how the actual shadows are going. And that's just the way the light is shining through. That's why you're getting that kind of effect. It's almost like a crisscross. You can see it in your paintings, or I'm sorry, you can see it in your photographs. You just have to know what you're looking for. Okay, so now I'm adding more of this warmer red, because it is in the light side and the highlight side. So we're going to see more of those orange hues. So I kind of want to remind you again that your paintings of skin, especially with younger skin, like theirs, you're not trying to create the illusion that it's so smooth that it looks like a balloon. What we're trying to do is create a smoothness that the eyes can blend together. Because I just want to remind you that we're constantly moving around. We're getting glimpses of people, not frozen in time. And even if we were frozen, like playing that game or whatever, you're still breathing, your eyes are blinking, movement is consistent. So we're also not going to be as still as a photograph. And the way we look at people is we're looking at them moving. So by having almost this paint-like texture, it's almost like the Impressionists. You're kind of painting a moving creature in a way that it's going to capture light in different ways at every single moment of time. You don't necessarily need everything to be too smooth. You want it to be believable. You want it to feel real. And I know that a lot of my paintings, you can see like every single blemish and pore. It's not necessary though. It really isn't. I think that was more like sometimes you want to do something to prove to yourself that you can do it. Those paintings are definitely the ones for me. But now that I did it, now I'm starting to realize that I just want to push ideas more, push colors more. So it'll be really interesting to see what the next year of paintings will be like. It's exciting for me to think about just as far as like the uncomfortableness, how uncomfortable it is to push yourself with new things and how scary it can be. Like this, I feel like the realism is fun. Now I need to push myself with trying something new. So I'm adding in yellow here. I think that is because the sweater has a yellow hue to it. So it's gonna bounce up some of that color from what you're wearing. If you have anything brighter in hue or saturation even, it's going to have a little bit of a reflection on your skin. And you can see there, I didn't have to like go over my shadows too much at that point in time. I didn't want to take away from the shadows that I made already. I just wanted to make them pop a little bit more. So I just worked that darker value of skin tone up to the shadow line and stopped. So here comes the fun part, just kind of going around and finding areas that need to be like softened in between your highlights and shadows. Creates more of a roundness. So I'm doing that with the nose at the moment. I'm adding in some lighter values here. It just makes it look less rigid here, but more soft. Again, that spot, I just love adding highlights there, don't I? But it does make it pop a little bit more. You can see adds a lot of shape instantly. I'm going in and using that same color. It was like a neutral color, a grayish violet. It was almost like a gray down, a very light valued quinacridone or something. Toned. And now I'm just going in with my blending brush and trying to soften everything. And it didn't soften it completely, but that's okay. a lot of the stuff that we're not able to see either, the stuff that you see when you're really right there up close to your paintings, are like in our own minds while we're painting a huge deal. But if you're looking at it from this perspective, everything kind of blends together. It looks really nice. And we get so hung up on certain things, but even if I stop now, I think I would be really happy with the painting. Well, maybe not right now. Now I added those really harsh highlights. Ooh, man, now look at the right eye. By adding that one little highlight dot, and then also the one on the lash line, it actually made the shadows of the eyelashes pop more. Like, it's always fun to see because you're not really quite sure. Like, I've been doing this for my whole life, and I still am not quite sure how things are going to look at the end, or like what my painting will look like. I know obviously it's going to be close to like what the picture is that I'm looking at, but it's always going to be different because I'm not a printer, I'm a human creating. But little things like that, like, you know, you have to paint this because you see it, but then it doesn't really look like much until one point you add a little white dot and everything just pops and you're like, oh, that's why that looks more real. That looks okay. This is looking good. That's why it's really important to kind of stick with it, even when you're frustrated, because sometimes you just don't know where things are going to go. You kind of feel like you're stuck, but I don't know. Being stuck is sort of also like part of the project. Like, what am I doing right now? I feel like this is a mistake. I feel like maybe I'm starting to get tired or something because I'm starting to use bigger brushes. When I'm very tired, I always end up using bigger brushes and kind of trying to like speed through things, which feels like what I'm doing right now. I know that I was sitting for almost 4 hours for this one, so maybe what happened was I got to the end of my book and I'm like, I need to finish this right now. So I end up using bigger brushes. So hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt. I think it looked pretty good. That may have been the best move, like using a flat brush to just really pull those dark layers in. It's funny because when I'm watching these, I kind of don't trust my judgment a lot. Like when I'm looking back at it, I'm like, why did you do that? But still the same person, you know, like you would probably end up doing the same thing if you're in the moment than watching it as a fly on the wall later. We say 20, hindsight is 2020, but also like you don't know what it was like being there either. So now it appears that I'm just kind of taking this neutralized yellow. Yeah, so it's nice too because I added the yellow into the straps already. So when you add the blue, everything does kind of look like it was meant to be with each other. You always want to have the colors like everywhere. So even though it's a blue strap, you should have the yellow, you should have the skin tone color into it. And even though it is a yellow sweater, you should have some touches of blue from the strap as well as the skin tone color. You're just kind of using a little, like you're just using less of those colors, but it should still be in there. Because it makes everything feel like it belongs in the same world, as opposed to just painting everything one solid color. It looks more like an illustration, it looks more like a cartoon, that they're separate from each other, but together. So, but in the real world, we kind of have all the colors in different variations and different tones and blended. We're coming to the end of this. I'm feeling pretty good about it. So I think this is the end of the painting actually. Let me double check. Yeah, we only have one more. Okay, I'll see you next time.